Thank you so much and welcome to this beautiful day today to our viewers at home. My name is Liberate Matlala. I'm the founder and the CEO of Mzansi Men and Women of Influence in South Africa. And thank you for joining us today. As I promised you latest that we've got an amazing guest with us, one of our founding fathers, and it's been a privilege. Dr. P, thank you so much for joining us today, and I feel so honored to be sharing this kind of a gesture with you. And thank you so much for being here with us.
It's me who feels honored to be invited to exchange views with you.
Yes, sir.
And share them with the outer public there, on whatever subject matter you may wish to ask me.
Yes, sir.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Because we feel very honored and privileged because you are one of the founding fathers of our democracy in South Africa. You were there. You didn't just hear the rumors. You were not the third hand. You were there, and we believe that having you in our men of influence to be able to say, these are the men who have paved the way. A lot of things were said, but we believe that you are the right person to be able to tell us the right truth. Dr. P, tell us a little bit about yourself, especially things that people don't know. Many people don't know that you're an advocate, you are a lawyer, you have a law firm. They only know you as a guy, and they say the ANC, but they don't know the beautiful juice about you. Tell us a little bit about what people not knowing about you.
I'm a simple rural boy who spent a lot of time in urban and rural areas.
Okay.
And who learned the cultures of being in the slow rural and the fast urban.
Okay.
I'm an activist who grew up in different organizations as our history evolved.
Yes.
There was a time when Black consciousness was very strong, led by Steve Biko. May his soul rest in peace, and many others like Sidney Moodley, Pani Pichana, and many leaders of that time. And then there was an evolution where the UDF was formed. And that time I was already working in the underground, doing political and military work for the African National Congress and Mkondo Sizwe. That time, I'm moving faster. That's the life of my political career. And of course, it was very challenging because the ANC was banned when it began to surface its face in the country. I mean, it was banned long ago. ZAP was not banned, UDF was not banned, so they were the upper cover for our political activities. And we had great leaders there. Also in the UDF, like Popo Molefe, Maifu Murobe, many others. As Alan Busak, those guys were there. Yeah. And they were there, and they fired the nation with the vision of the Freedom Charter of a non-racial democratic South Africa. It became the Black consciousness versus the Charterists at the time. But I stayed underground. I never took a profile later once I went underground. But throughout, I studied law, 2 degrees, PPROC and an LLB, articled and passed my exam in 11 months instead of 2 years. And I enjoyed myself for the last 13 months sitting there, just maturing as a lawyer. And then later going to open my first law practice with Phineas Mujapilu and Ephraim Mahoba in Nelspruit, the first Black law firm. And we're told that we cannot open a law firm in a white area. But there was the Group Areas Act. We said to the authorities, we're not moving out of these offices, do your damnedest. And they didn't. We stayed there in the law firm. No one evicted us. We said, just do your damnedest. We're not going anywhere. We thought if we defy them, when a dog barks, you don't bark. You look at it. The dog begins to suspect, what's wrong with you now? You're going to bite him. So we did that. But we grew up in the political cauldron, if I may put it that way. Young Black people spend their youth in struggle, men and women in this country. And then it was not easy. Many sacrifices were made. The uprising of 1976 exploded in our faces.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember we were at the University of the North that time, and it was so bad when to see young people being killed. Just to say, we don't want to be taught in Afrikaans. They were killed. They will not say we hate white people. They said we did not want to be taught in this language.
Okay. Yeah.
Why kill them then? But they were killed for that. I mean, other people were killed even earlier on. The Donbasses, all those things. We've got a history of very illogical happenings, But it happened, and people died, paid early prices in the struggle. We at the same time had our leaders, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Rivonia Tradis, and others who came after them sitting in Robben Island, and other comrades sitting in different prisons in the whole country. And we were engaging fearlessly. When I look back, I think we're too brave. Fearlessly, carrying arms, AK-47, Starscan, Makarov, grenades, TNT bombs throughout the country to explode them, to hit police targets, to hit military targets. We did that, but it was daring. But the struggle forced us to pole vault that way into using violence against violence. But there was no other language which apartheid understood. Apartheid was very violent, and it needed to be resisted both peacefully and violently. And we don't apologize for that. It was necessary. But it was a violent system. And in that situation, I began to defend many political cases, like Halem Masurumule, Tito Mantata, those cases I defended, Knox Milani, ML all over. And we had big inquests. I mean, after Steve Biko's death, there was this big inquest which was conducted by George Bizos, And then a young man called Temboyi Semdawe, who was operating in Mpumalanga underground, was arrested, and I was his lawyer. And I remember one day we bought them socks, underwears and things, the human thing. He's arrested with no clothes, He doesn't wear prison clothes. He has not been properly charged, so we bought him clothes. After 2 days, Colonel Fester walks into my office and says, "Your client is dead." My client is dead? What happened? No, he hanged himself with one of the socks you gave us to really make me feel guilty. And we had a big inquest. I briefed George Bizos and Ernest Dikhamu, our Deputy Chief Justice later.
Yes.
And we gave them a run for their money. But even after that intensive investigation, George Bizos, may so rest in peace, wrote a book, No One Is to Blame. Those inquests, we always say, no one is to blame. Ahmed Timur died. They said he jumped from the first.
They say he fell off from the
No one was
there.
to blame. All of a sudden, we had wings to fly. No one is to blame. That was difficult. Someone had to be blamed, but no one was blamed. Someone died. No one took responsibility for their death. Yet they were in the custody and hands of human beings.
Wow.
Now, we continue to struggle. But along the way, the security police began to sniff that there's a lawyer here causing problems.
A young lawyer.
They did not know. They did not know who he was. Somehow it leaked to them. And until they arrested one guy who said to them, "Listen, under interrogation, I won't tell you who it is." This guy was being used by us, not used. His role was to receive money from Swaziland, from one of our colleagues in Swaziland, and it was given by the comrade, and military hardware to comrades in Bushbuckridge and further afield.
Okay.
So for operations. And those comrades are still alive, like Tabang and others.
Wow.
They're still alive, but Malupi died in a shootout in a village called Bekiswai, where Chief Mhluli is. And it was a serious titanic battle, and he vowed that no one would capture him alive.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he said to Mohali, also you went to Robben Island, Mohali, Elfas, that you get out of this place. I was a young child, you get out. I'm taking on this security police. They're all lying down, shooting at that house in Bekiswai. And then he said to them, "You want to capture me alive?" He took his bullet and shot himself.
Wait, Doc. Let's come here to this question. That's one of the beautiful things. You used to be a commander at Mkondo Overseas.
Later.
Are you not having?
Later.
Are you not having traumatic nightmares?
Later we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Are you not having traumatic nightmares?
Nothing. We're going to talk about exile. This is still inside the country before I left.
Okay.
It's before I left when we had these military exchanges. We were involved. With comrades were involved. And of course, this lawyer they're looking for was exposed by the arrest of one young man. They brutalized him badly. there's no way he could not have talked.
Mm-hmm.
And when he talked, we had recruited many security police as ANC underground with the authorization of ANC in exile. Yeah, they work for us. They work for the ANC. And people like Malaza work for us. He's alive. He ended up in exile. He was exposed. Swanky, Mukhabudia in Atrijville. Those guys were working with us. And Swanky was at SP, at Flag Plus, but he worked with us.
Okay.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do for his people, right?
Yeah.
And then, here we go. We set up a situation of communication with Malaza because I'm busy with the trial in Middleburg.
Yes.
I said to Malaza, these guys have got this ex in prison. They're going to break him. If they're going to break him, what do we do? How am I going to know? He says, I'll send so and so driving a yellow Passat, a woman. You must give credit to women in the struggle.
Wow.
She will come and tip you that he is broken. So that morning, I woke up at the Midway Hotel in Middleburg. I see the yellow Passat. I said, game is gone. I knew. And she came next to me and said, Puti Kunjal. I knew that was a signal that he is broken.
Yo.
But I must still go to court. When I arrived at court, that time, the stories were in the front page of Rand Daily Mail, terrorists arrested in Bushbuck region, all those things. But not me. I was moving around. And I look at Colonel Bosman in court. He was looking at me like this, looking at his friend Daily Mail. And I said to myself, this guy must be saying to himself, we're going to arrest this terrorist today. But I said to myself, you will never get me. I worked it out. I'm going to tell the Khan, my advocate, I'm leaving. But the timing was I should leave during lunchtime when they think I'll still come back after lunch. Matthew was nowhere to be seen. I was gone. I left, disappeared. I drove via Emirates, not the straight road to Nelspruit, but I didn't know what to do. Maybe to discover I'm going back home. I used the most bad plus road that side. And I went back. I said, I'm going to find Malaza. I found him. We met somewhere outside Kanyamazan in a very difficult area. I said, aim for it. And he said to me, one, they issued a warrant of arrest for you.
After that court case?
After that, no, it was not after the guy broke.
Okay, yes.
And they've decided that it's not going to happen. This guy is a piece of terrorist. Arresting him, he might be acquitted and continue with his terroristic activities. Let's kill him. So they unleashed a squad from Flag Plus. I know the name of one of the guys who was going to kill me. The another command of the late Derek Kutsia.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they couldn't succeed. I disappeared. I used to drive that time a 735 BMW. New, beautiful. Left it behind. Left my wife and my 4-year-old daughter behind. I disappeared. I used another car they were not used to. A small Mazda. And then I had a pistol. You like the story.
Yeah.
A 7.65, which was the legal, that one. Right? I used the Matsamo border. Now, when I give you a pistol and my passport, I look credible. You know? So I give this guy my pistol and my passport. And he let me go. I said, goodbye, South Africa. I left. I went to find my guys in Swaziland. I told them, this is where we are. They said, well, you did well, because by leaving, you saved many units inside the country. So we are not going back. Now we're here. And Komo Zuma was happened to be in Swaziland.
Okay, yes.
That weekend, they said, no, he must go to Maputo. And then, of course, Komo Paul Dikeledi. I must give him credit.
Yo.
Mutao. He drove me to Maputo. I stayed with Rob Davis. That time, the ANC was bubbling with the Cabo Conference, discussing big politics. Do we include whites in the NEC or not? I said, guys, in the UDF, we've got whites, we've got Indians. How come we have such a debate and you are the vanguard of the revolution? You know, I didn't understand. We didn't understand. But those debates were there. They were the many big issues in exile. Well, we were not part of the cells, but we participated in the debate.
Yeah.
And later I was asked, I must come to Lusaka. I went to Lusaka. I met Tambo and Comrade Thabo Mbeki. And they asked me a question. That time, Zimbabwe had just been free and very much in vogue.
Oh, yes.
Just a good life. Professionals were going there.
All day in the university.
The doctors, the lawyers. They said to me, do you want to open a practice in Zimbabwe? I said, you know what? I left many people inside the country fighting. They'll be very disappointed to know that I was with them. I went to exile to make money. Money is not the issue with me. I want us to fight. They said, let him follow his heart. They sent me to East Germany. It doesn't exist anymore. The German Democratic Republic of Germany, DDR. And there I learned a lot of politics. I went to Marxist Lenin school, a lot of politics, social, political economy, all those things. And many, many classics. And of course, I did intelligence, high-level intelligence. Did work of the spies, police investigation and possibilities, as the Germans call it, police possibilities. So what does a policeman or a woman do? Like I take a hospital, I can trace it to you, or you have a drop of blood, trace it to you. Did all those things, but then did military training. I'll tell you about the first day, because it was traumatic, and I haven't told anybody.
Anyone yet?
Yeah, the first day, and they make us stand in a ditch like this, almost your height, and you throw a grenade, right? You must hit like an iron thing with that grenade. We hit a target, it explodes. After we pull the pin.
It's supposed to explode.
Yeah, so I pull the pin, I throw it. But I was a little bit slow in going down. I just had whoo over my head. I said, oh my God. That moment, all fears in my life died. It killed my fear, that moving down. I stopped fearing anything. Then they took us through all weapons, the Scorpions, AK-47s. Then we studied the weapons of the West. In case we capture an enemy from the West or armed with a weapon of the West, we must know how to use weapon of the West against him or against them. So we studied the weapons of the East and weapons of the West, all of them. And we did explosive. We used to call it in NC military engineering.
Okay.
Even today, if you said I did engineering, they know you talk about explosives. I mean, we will connect it the TNTs. It was well known, and then the PNP10. PNP10 is like clay. Yeah, I can just and put it like clay, and I put the detonator, and I detonate it. That clay will make a smoke that will engulf you. Dying.
Wow.
We'll never see you. Your bones will be broken. You'll be something else. We don't know what it is, So we learned those things, and then after that, we were asked to go back home. We came back home. Home was Africa as it was. And me, it was Mozambique. And Komuzuma was then the chief rep and almost the commander. We just disguised the chief rep thing.
Okay.
But he was in charge of a lot, other than diplomatic. So we were the second layer. Then, of course, the Afrikaners realized that a lot is happening. We deployed at the border of Mzansi. There in Mzansi, there. To Keith Mukwape, he died 3 weeks ago. May his soul be in peace. He was my first commander. Respect him greatly.
Yes.
And we were infiltrating human beings, armed, trained people into the country. Armed, unarmed, propaganda material, bombs, everything. And as this thing was going on, using people from Mzansi, from Goba village, Magesi Bitani, a young woman who I've interviewed in my next book.
Wow.
Yeah, so she, with her daughters, they were running around and others. And it went on. Then the soldiers of Africa, the Afrikaners realized, no, this is not ending. Then they mounted a razor wire, which that thing cut you like this and pull the flesh out. Now, we are worried about whether or not the razor wire was poisoned. So we got one guy, boy in color, and we said, you must go and cut it and bring it to us. We're doing some other tests on him, of course. I don't want to mention them here. Check other things on him. So he went. He cut that piece of wire. We're waiting for him on this side of the border. He came. He was bleeding here. Because it didn't realize this thing, it cuts into the flesh and pulls out the flesh. It was bleeding all over. But we took the piece of wire, sent it to Lusaka for test. We didn't trust. But we continued with our work. And then they're putting landmines along the border. You know what a landmine does to a jeep, a military jeep? It makes it fly in the sky. Then they realize this is getting hot. Then they put these electrical fans. Yeah, but then what can you do to a guerrilla? We made manholes. Still went in. Made manholes. And then we put, the impact was we're killing these vehicles. They decided to use horses.
Okay.
On the horses. So we put the limpet mine, which when I was
explode.
Because it hits the horse's stomach and the intestines fly up in the sky. You understand? It blows the stomach of the horse and the intestines on your head, Mr. or Mrs. Madam, fly on the horse. It's brutal. And they stopped that. Then they decided to use scrabblers, the bike. Well, there's enough limpets with the scrabbler can explode. So we put the small scrabblers. So when that motorbike goes like this, it goes up in an explosion.
It explodes.
Yeah, it was brutal, but they were brutal to us.
Yeah.
It was violence shall be met with violence. But they did not know that we were there. There was a Frelimo camp there. Give Frelimo credit. Say, Viva Frelimo. We ate their rice and the carpenter. Carpenter is a small little fish. They fed us on that. And we were like any Mozambican. We could have walked along the fence while this drama was happening. And then they didn't know it was us. We never wore military uniform.
Yeah.
There's nothing as lethal as a guerrilla outside the uniform. You can't identify them.
Okay, yeah.
So that was our cover. Then fast forward, the Afrikaners insisted because there was too much heat. That's Komu Zuma, Sue Rapkin, Keith Mukwape, Ahmad Timor's younger brother Farouk, and who else? I think those were the ones that they must go. They're running this undeclared war against them. That was to talk about Ngomati number 2. So the next wave of chasing
the whole chase, yes.
They chased them away, but before they left, they briefed us. You will surface as the next layer that will fight. So we surfaced. But who's surfacing? It's the very people who are fighting into the country. It's more dangerous people who are surfacing. We surfaced. Comrade CODESA became our commander at the time. Didn't last long. He had this many running battles with TZ, Comrade TZ, Tamizulu. And then they said, no, this Matthew is... Freddy was my name, MK name. Freddy is neutral. He must command. That's how I took over the command of the province. With A.B. Chikani, my deputy, those other guys. Franz Chikani's younger brother. He was a very nice intelligence officer. Unbelievable. You know, I salute him. He was a good deputy. And then, of course, we then prosecuted the struggle the way we did. Nothing was interrupted. And 2, 3, fast forward, Marshall dies next to our operations there. We were operating at the Mzansi. And it was a heated environment. And then we went on and on. We never stopped. And I remember, I don't want to talk much about those things because they're coming out later in another book. I'll hint, we planned many operations, even within the country, into the heartland of the country. Heartland. Up to Kofinvaba, Tata from Maputo. There was no borders for us. Guerrillas are like paraffin, they just move. And then, I'll talk about this. You remember the great Modabi escape of prisoners?
Yes, untraced. Yeah, how? No one knows who made them escape.
His commander. I was the commander. And I was commanded by Chris Hani.
Okay.
We planned that escape. And now, you know who planned it.
Wow.
Because credit to the comrades who were in prison. They also planned. Some of them are still alive. Credit to them. The great guys.
Wow.
Great guys. Brave. And the plan was basically that we will get out. I won't say what they were carrying.
Okay.
We will hide at place X. You stay there. And the guy who's place X or who on place X was without Maputo. You don't move until we give a signal. They didn't move What was the signal? The Franse Minister of Police says, those terrorists are really in Lusaka. They're gone. I said, good. Now they'll go.
That was the signal. Okay.
Then they moved up to Maputo to be received in a very nice way. Nice drinks. Guys, here you are taking Lusaka. So many operations happened that way.
What's so special about Lusaka? Everybody.
It was head office.
Okay.
So it was head office.
The head office, because of the head office was there.
Yeah,
okay.
It was head office. Remember, yes. All of us conveyed there, everything. Political and military committee was based there, everything. Military headquarters was there, everything. I mean, it was HQ.
Wow.
And so wherever you went, you ended up there. Then, while I was busy there, then they asked me to go and to do many things, like also participate in the interrogation of the recruits to find the truth about the structure of the enemy. How do they work? And we got a lot. Then we didn't know we were going home quickly, but we got a lot, as much as we could. With more than 500 pages of that computer sheets, those big ones. We also condensed it to 120 pages, which we did for the NEC. And then 2-3 hours asked to go to our Uganda, to our prisons, to try, because we're now going home. And there are a lot of stories about Amnesty International to be looked at and say, are we looking like we observe human rights in our prison? Because why do we judge others by a certain standard? We'll be judged by the same standard, whether we uphold human rights. So I deal with that aspect of it. It's another story. And then I rushed to Lusaka. Then the Sulu was there with the Rivonia Charlies, and they went to Mulungishu Hall. And the comrades were talking there about life in exile. It was exciting. We had to brief them. There's a lot of free talk there, a lot of stuff. I went to Maputo. Then Mandela was coming to Lusaka. Then I was asked to come up. I went. I met him for the first time there. He said, boy, I'm come to take you, come to fetch you. Fetch me for what? I was in your Nkanyamazana at a rally with your former partner, Phineas. Boy, we regretted when we left the country. The story was carried in City Press. Top lawyers keep the country. So we're doing a good job, but we understood why we had to leave. Now we're going to work together again. Didn't understand. Later I was told, I must pull out of the front in Maputo, join him at home with President Maduna at Comrade Zuma and Gibson Njenje to begin the process of negotiations. So when you say you are one of the founding fathers, yes, I am. Yes, I am, proudly so. When there was not one exile in the country, it was Zuma, Maduna, myself, and Gibson Njenje who started the process. No one else can claim it. But if you look back behind the talks, Comrade Thabo and Comrade Zuma had begun the talks overseas.
All right.
In Geneva. Yeah, give them credit, it's two comrades. They started them. But inside the country, it's us who came. It was risky. I'll give you an example of when I was coming. Maduna and Zuma came early before me. Then I followed. Then Comrade Thabo briefed me. I said, but are you sure they're not going to kill us? This guy said, you go. Who's going to receive me? They'll come into the plane to fetch you. Who? Don't know. But they'll come. It was all organized. The plane landed here. Jan Smart's then.
Jan Smart, yeah.
And then a tall guy walks through the aisle. Very tall. He says, comes to me, he says, no passengers allowed to get out. Are you Matthew? I kept quiet. You see, but he didn't talk. He said, are you Freddy? I said, yes, I'm Freddy.
Okay.
So he triggered the code name. I said, I'm Freddy. He said, we'll come to fetch you. Oh, okay. I'm carrying a sling bag. A sling bag with 3 underwears, I think 2 or 1 trousers to change. I'm wearing boots. And then not even having a jacket on, or a jersey. Then they took me out of the aeroplane. They opened the bonnet of the aeroplane. They said, which one is your bag? I said, I don't have bags. You don't have a luggage? I have a luggage, my sling bag. You mean you don't trust us? I said, why must I trust you? Then the next thing, they take my passport. They disappear with it. We're on the tarmac. They come back with it. They drive around the tarmac, out of the airport with me. Now, Phineas Mujapelo, my partner, I phoned him on a landline. But then there was no cell phone. There was no bleeper. And I said, meet me at the airport. Poor Phineas was waiting out in the front. He didn't see me. He disappeared. They took me away. And on the way to Lanseria, scary things. Ne? Along the way, they said to me, they knew I was involved in the team that interrogated the deputy of Flag Plus, the murderer. And they said, we're taking you to Flag Plus. I mean, it's a sick joke, ne? To say that to me. I just said, guys, you win. They said, no, Freddie, we're playing. But it was a sick joke. But I just said, you win. You win. But they were not winning. They were losing because I was not intimidated. Then they took me to Mr. Dean's lodge. This lodge is no longer there. Also, we'll go to and say that very nice lodge. The guy was called Dean.
Okay.
Very charismatic guy. I think he ended up at Plettenberg Bay with something else. And we're sitting there. I found Zuma, Madonna, Kenny Kindlofo. His soul rest in peace. Was added to the team. That's history.
Wow.
Can't forget it.
Yeah,
Kenny didn't go. So I joined them. One morning I'm walking there, my boot, I'm walking, I see Zuma sitting with General Bassi Smith. I didn't know who he was. He said, he's looking at me. Zuma says to him, that's Mr. Matthew Phosa. Freddie. This guy said, Freddie? That guy? Is that Freddie? This guy used to cause us problems every Monday when we do assessment of what else to expect. So Zuma is telling me later, we didn't care. But we were preparing for the first table for negotiations fast forward.
Okay. Nice.
And then there was no one in the AC from outside. It was us. And then we prepared. We spent time flying between Pretoria and Cape Town, Lanseria, Cape Town, until we agreed on the agenda for the first talks. Once we have agreed, of course, John Tlanta and Nazis part came in between from intelligence as well, join us, but very quietly. And then, then they started flying in. The day the big plane flew in, we had to come from behind a battery of journalists, me and Maduna, to go into the airport to receive our guys. These journalists had never seen us. We're underground all this month.
Wow.
They never saw us. They never saw us. Never. And then they saw us, they said, these guys, but we didn't talk to them. Come to receive our guys, Chris Honey, Domudi said, Meruth, all these guys, the delegation, or Joe Slow. We had argued before with these guys. They said, no, how can in the first delegation to bring Joe Slow? We said, you want to talk to us? Yes. You want to determine our delegation? No. Joe Slow is coming. They couldn't understand why we bring Joe Slow. It's Chris Honey. You understand?
Yeah.
But you have Magnus Malandi and Flock here. What's wrong with you? I mean, Khalaf Youn was acting president. De Klerk was out.
De Klerk was still there. Yes, I remember.
But he was out overseas. He had to phone him. I said, these guys are bringing Joe Slovo. What else? Let them bring him. So we set up the table, but we decided, you know what? These guys are not going to sit around the table and talk. Give them a glass of wine, piece of cheese, and cookies and cook sisters. Let them talk. Let them be human there. So watching the situation, the movie, and they were talking. I couldn't believe human beings are very interesting. Magnus Malan was talking to Chris Jomdi as if they're friends. They melted to each other, talking.
Wow.
Ask me what they were talking to. I don't know, but they were talking. They were not hostile.
So enemies.
But that's what we wanted to. It's psychological. They must break the tension there, not at the table. The guy called Fanny van der Merwe, he saw rest in peace, a very great lawyer, was advising the government. He had a bald head like Zuma. So we said, where does he sit and where does Zuma sit? So no, let the two guys with bald heads sit at the end of the table and shine on the table. Yes. Shine peace on the table. Yeah, Mandela and De Klerk said like that. And we had the first tough meeting. It didn't go much, but they tried to bring the MK issue early. We said, no ways. We're not going to discuss MK first talk. We must talk about leveling the playing fields in terms of the Harare Declaration, freeing political prisoners, allowing exiles to come back home, stopping the hanging of people who were standing in the queue to be hanged for political relief. If we agree on those, then we can talk about everything else. There is a message sunk home. But then there was Groteskier, then there was the DF Malan talks, then there was Pretoria Minute where we suspended armed struggle, and a lot of protests in the ANC. But ask me if anybody ever handed their arms. I don't think anyone did.
Okay. So they didn't bring back the arms.
All of a sudden they didn't have arms. This invisible guerrilla army. They didn't like a ceremony where they surrender to the enemy. They didn't want to have that. It never happened. The arm's still around somewhere, even today, I think. So then, of course, we reach a point where we say, now, there are so many political parties in this country. It's not just the ANC National Party. There are others in the homeland. MISA.
UDF.
Inos Mabuza. All this guy. Let them come around the table. Let us all talk as South Africans. We talk for 4 years and produce an interim constitution. Not a constitution.
4 years?
4 years. And we only produce an interim constitution. The big argument was, who actually writes the final constitution?
Okay.
And what is the form of state we want? There are big differences. We said Constituent Assembly made up of people who have been elected can write the constitution. Not we as CODESA. No one elected us. We're just representatives.
Okay.
And of course, we said that we don't want a federal state. The homelands must be dissolved. Finish and clear. They are your creations. We're one South Africa. You understand? We argued about those things as if they were big arguments, but they were big. But there were mentalities which said, no, the homelands must go on. Hey, you must continue to respect the Soto, the Zulu. So what are we talking about? We're a nation of different languages, different cultures, of different many things. So we're one South Africa, one nation. Insisted on that. It was a big battle. And before some homeland leaders who were a bit funny.
How did you hear that information, Dr. P?
Yes. There was,
we hardly hear this information. Yeah. We were told one side of the story.
No, there's two sides and many sides. Mongope didn't want to accept that Putatswana is part of South Africa. So we flew there with Mandela to go and see him. But before we could go and see him, we got a message from Chief P, I won't mention the full name, to say to Mandela, Mongope is going to poison you. Don't go there. Mandela called Papa Mulefe, Ruth Mombati and myself, because I was dealing with the homeland. This fly, put in the jet, go. Now the people in Putatswana thought Mandela will arrive at Mafikeng and they will see him. There were a lot, big, large people there. Mongope was not going to have that nonsense of Mandela being celebrated. You call him the Pantit, the prisoner. And then we can see them from the air. Oh, this is a big reception. As we land, there are 3 helicopters there, waiting for military helicopters. Go in there, guys. They lifted us up to a place. I understand in retrospect that this intelligence school, lovely restaurant there. The people never saw us. They never touched them. Mongope denied us that opportunity.
Wow.
So, not that it was a big deal for us. We were there to talk to him.
Okay.
So in the meeting, Mongope says to Mandela, you call him Dr. Mandela. Dr. Mandela, tell me, why don't you recognize the independence of Putatswana? Mandela looked at him and said, well, you asked the right question, Mr. President. Comrade Matthew is dealing with the TBV states, with Ephraim Kikelan. He was representing Putatswana. They are all here. But Comrade Matthew must respond from the ANC side. Me, I'm a dry lawyer. I just went on. I told President Mongope then that you live in a homeland. It's a phantom. It's not independent. It's part of South Africa. We want to form one South Africa. As I continue like that, his face, Mongope, the poker face, was knitting. He was getting angry in silence. I continue to say, Putatswana will not exist. We're coming to ask you nicely here that you should agree to dissolve Putatswana and let's form one South Africa. We will all go to elections. If your party wins, it wins. If it loses, it wins. We're not here to bully anybody. We're here to talk nicely and to be South Africans. Mongope can maintain a poker face. You do not know what he thought. You know what was the next thing? He said, gentlemen, let's go and have lunch. After that, then we went to have lunch. But then this thing that they say Mandela poison was haunting us. We did not know what Mandela had in mind. Then they bring food. So they bring a very nice piece of fish to Kikalame, Ephraim, next to Mandela. You know what Mandela did? He says, Ephraim, your fish looks very nice. May I please have it? Ducking the poison. He took Kikalame's food and ate it. Ducking the imaginary poison. I don't think it was poison, but Mandela did that. Interesting, eh?
Wow.
He took the food. So Ephraim had to eat Mandela's food. Ephraim did not die. No one died. No one got sick. But those were some other things. We flew back. Then Mangope still did not listen. I remember I made a statement. Someone said it was reminiscent of the Second World War when I said, if Mangope does not listen, the tanks will roll.
Okay.
But that was used in the Second World War. The tanks will roll.
The tanks will roll.
And the tanks rolled. And Mangope became history in that sense of being a homeland. So we went through that. And then, of course, later, the interim constitution was agreed. But there's many details. We'll talk the whole night if we went through those things. And then we celebrated the interim constitution because it was laying the base for an election. And of course, while we were negotiating, Chris was killed. May his soul rest in peace. This great son of us. Chris was a tough leader, a visionary, smart, intelligent, very, very hardworking. He was my commissar. He was our commissar in the army. You know, we did many things together. Accounting to him every day in Jomodise, accounting to the political and military committee. But in terms of military, I was accounting to him all the time. The communication that came to me from him or from Jomodise were military. And I executed each one of them. Each one of them, with respect of the difficulties. I honor him. He was killed by that guy called Walus. Janus Walus.
Yeah.
And I was in Mpumalanga. I just addressed a youth conference. And I'd left the conference. And when I hear this, I'll go back to the conference. I thought, oh, we need to manage this situation. And I broke the news there because they were locked in the hall. Yeah, because they were locked in the hall. They would not listen to any radio. I said, comrade, the guys were crying. Sure. The whole conference was crying, angry. But as a leader, you must know how to deliver bad news. That's a test of leadership. So I delivered that. I said to them, guys, we must not do anything out of the way until we're told what to do. When the ANC was unbanned in exile, before we came back home, I said to Comrade Chris, the ANC is unbanned. What do we do? He said, you continue to fight until the next order. And I said to the comrades, you keep quiet until you hear what the next order is to maintain discipline with the comrades. And they behave themselves.
Wow.
In the evening, Comrade Sidney calls me and says, hey, you have to be at head office by 8. I have to drive through the night. Driving a small little 1.8, whatever, Toyota of the ANC. Then I was there at 8. Then it was the Alliance, Komomo, Mandela, all these guys there. But Mandela said, Comrade Matthew, this meeting is not going to take long. You are going to be we're going to lead the Alliance investigation team to find out who killed Wahani. Me? Yes, you. But they knew I came from intelligence. So they told me off that meeting who I should contact on the other side. And we started investigating. I was told I'm not supposed even to attend the funeral. I must focus on finding the matter. Of course, it's history what happened. We all heard what Walus was saying. He's protecting his sources. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He says so himself. And he's protecting the military intelligence guys who were with him. I'm going to say it. I think they were involved in killing Chris. He's protecting them. He wants to pretend W. Lewis was a blind pawn of someone. Someone invisible. Someone invisible. There's no such a thing. You know.
Just protecting them.
Yeah, Walus has not told the truth. Let it be clear on the record.
Okay.
He has not told the truth. He himself said he wants to disclose his sources. That's not telling the truth in the first instance.
Yes.
At the house of Comrade Chris, there was a tin of Glenrick or something with cigarette stumps at the corner as you look at the door. Like that.
So I mean somebody was there smoking and eating.
Of course, yes. Who's that somebody? Who's that somebody? We could not break that mystery of the cigarette stumps. So there are many unanswered questions in that case. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was leading and I know I must, for the sake of his wife and children, this must be told. And that Walus lied. As even if he called parole, he lied. He hid the truth. Yeah, he did. To come and tell us with that such gusto you kill Chris again. It's callous.
Imagine, I heard him when he says,
It's disgusting, but he did that. He said all those things. Yeah, no regrets. And then, after Chris was killed, we're going to pressurize the enemy. We need an election date.
Okay.
So one of the prices was that we need an election date.
So did they agree to the homeland thing and to the release of the prisoners and stopping of the hanging?
No, they were. I personally went to the death cells. And I went there personally, and I walked into the death row. They agreed early. And I found these comrades. I tell you, you don't want to talk about the looks. They had resigned themselves to death
already.
Yeah, because they were in a queue. And yesterday, some guys were hanged. They're not necessarily political, but they were hanged. So I said, comrade, I've come to tell you that you will not hang. They said, Comrade Matthew, are you mad? We're standing in the queue to be hanged. You know, there's this stench in that place. I don't want to say the stench of death, because I don't know the stench of death, but there was this stench which I can never forget. I said, comrade, you will not hang. That's an early agreement that you will not hang. Please relax. And they were not hanged. But one of the things Comrade Tawa told me when I left, they said, make sure the hanging stops. And we did. We did. Make sure every prisoner is out. We did. Make sure you prepare for exile, come back home. We did. And me and Maduna worked like slaves at Home Affairs. We had our own department in Home Affairs, processing the return of exiles. We did, with love for our country, with love for freedom. Unquestionable commitment by us. So we did all those things. And I was talking to Robert McBride the other day. He came to my office. Because when the other prisoners remained, we had to sift.
Okay, who's coming and who's not, yes.
Yeah, and then we had a list of 150 prisoners we recommended. But we left out Robert McBride, Nondula, and Mteteledi. But this was where the three names the media were playing on. So when we went to Mandela following day, we said, this is the list. He says, where's Robert? Where's Mteteledi? Where's Nondula? If they're not there, you can keep your 150 prisoners. I want these ones out.
Okay.
He found it like that. If you don't release these three, I'm not going on with the talks. It's like I had to release them. I phoned Robert. It was in CR Swart in Devon. It was around 4 a.m. Come on, Robert, you got to get out of prison. He said, come on, Matthew. Are you sure I'm safe? I was reminding him the other day. Go out. Do you trust this guy? I said, no, God will come and receive you. I didn't trust that he has to go out of prison. You know what I'm saying? You think it's funny? There were people at Robben Island who didn't want to be released on signing certain indemnity forms. They said, why must we sign indemnity forms? We don't want to be released. Mandela and myself had to fly there to say to them, comrades, get out. Come and help us build the party. But Mandela spoke. Yes. Even before he finished his speech on the gardens of Robben Island, they said, Commander, we're getting out. We're convincing. So came out. There were a lot of things which people have not recorded.
Wow.
Those type of things. But now, fast forward, we had to debate the issues of the structure of the army. We agreed it's one army. The country is one country. We can have provinces. Reduce them from 9 to 4. Ask me now whether we need even the 4. I'll probably say no, because they're too expensive. But that's for another discussion. We need the government with more decentralized power in terms of municipalities and run this country. But that's another debate, which we can engage in one day. But that's what we did. And of course, we then agreed that we'll have elections. We had elections. It was very, very great, a very historic moment. Those elections were landmark and electrifying. You know, I was asked by Mandela to be the premier from Mpumalanga. And after I served on the police board for a long time, some guys thought I'd be the first minister of police. I was very happy. I was very happy I did not become. So we're dealing with these right-wing provinces. Komuzuma contested in KZN, but we lost there. The only province, one of the provinces we lost when the Western Cape. Creed was premier of Western Cape.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember everything, sir. Yeah, there's nothing I don't remember. I was there. I was part of the founding fathers, so I know.
Yeah.
So we decided we'll run the country, but I was asked to, from where I was sitting, to interrogate the Constitution, which I did through a process of debate with comrades and everything else. And we came to the conclusion that what was called the Senate is very English and archaic. We don't need it here. We need a house to present provinces. and local government.
They wanted the
grassroots.
Senate. Okay.
That's how the
NPC, National Council of Provinces.
That's how it was born.
Oh, okay.
It came from there, from our debate, yeah. That's how it was born. And it was correct structure, not the Senate of all men and women was sitting toothless.
Yeah.
We wanted activists who were still alive, having
Wow.
hot blood in them and engaging nationally. So that was the position. And of course, we had those elections. We ran the government. To be able to work with Mandela before the Constitution and after, and I will keep saying it, was like a university of life. I learned lessons which the universities never taught me about how to deal with the most difficult questions in life. We came out angry, hot-blooded. In my case, it was worse because I had men and women armed in the field. I wanted to retaliate at some moment when people were being killed in some disease. He'll say to us, guys, you make peace, not with your friend, but with your enemy. Your friend you don't need for peace. You have peace with them, but you make peace with your enemy. You cross the bridge, we shall hold hands. When you're angry, you say, rise above your anger. It's petty. Don't worship the tat from the tit. You will say, when you're angry, don't use your heart, use your brain. I can go on and on.
Wow.
Powerful lessons we learned early in the negotiations. Sisulu, along the same lines too.
Wow.
They built us with wisdom as we went along. And we're able to be carried along into the future by that wisdom of those old people. They're very interesting old people from the Rivonia tribe and others from other tribes who had seen it all and came out of jail, not bitter, but determined to build a new South Africa.
Wow.
They were determined and they wanted to launch it. And they launched it and they built it. If anyone who is a Magwinya start telling me Mandela's a traitor, I'll say to them, I'm not a Magwinya. First cooks are nice. That's why you can talk like that. This was a sacrificial moment of sacrifices, national sacrifices in the national interest. And those sacrifices were made on the battlefield and around the table by our leaders, by our foot soldiers. And we must honor them, men and women. And I'm happy in your program, say, you've honored women.
Yes.
You've honored men. Credit to you.
Thank you.
There's heroes and heroines in the struggle
who
picked up the spear. The women who marched to Union Building, they were women, they were not men. I wrote a poem in one of my books, which is published, Chant of Freedom. The poem is, our mother marched with us. I was honoring those mothers. You doing the same. Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to honor the fathers? Do so.
Indeed.
Do so. Honor them. When you honor them, you honor yourself. You honor your people. You raise the flag of history. You don't deny history. Don't know if you have many questions.
Wow. Hey, you covered a lot so far. I don't know what else to have. So, Doctor, with your experience, I have two most important questions. After all of this trauma and all the experiences you have seen, explosions and death and anger, and then Mandela will say, "Hi guys, calm down."
Yeah, but you asked me a question.
Yes.
How do you feel after all this?
After all of this, you sleep at night.
Let me tell you, I used to sleep with a pistol under my pillow when I was in exile. Every night, I will have a pistol under my pillow. Now I sleep with God under my pillow. I've reconciled that we're at a time when we are. Where we must all make peace, all build our democracy.
Okay.
And we must make this democracy work by hook or crook. We can only make it work if we weed out corrupt people amongst us.
Okay.
We can make it work if we build roads, provide clean water to our people, ensure that everybody gets education, build hospitals, right? Build nice prisons for the evil amongst us and lock them away there.
Okay.
Build a good defense force to defend our boundaries and our sovereignty.
Yes.
A good police force to enforce law and order.
The law.
A good intelligence, military intelligence and police intelligence to make sure that we're secured, all of us. Security is important. Jobs are important, and knowledge is important. Skilling our young people, give them a future. A youth without skill is like a youth which walks blind, and it is a dangerous youth. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We want to open eyes and minds of our youth with knowledge, with education. That's how we're going to protect our democracy.
Doc, the one of the biggest, most... I've read this book even before. I can even tell you the chapters with my head.
I don't regret anything we did on the battlefield.
Okay.
It was necessary. A soldier will not regret. If you bomb civilians, yes, I regret. But that's never the policy of the ANC. The policy was, or the ANC was, the politics shall lead the bullet.
Oh.
The politics shall lead the bullet.
Statement.
Yeah, but we were a political organization.
Okay.
The military was buttressing our political agenda. It was supporting it. So I have no regret about what happened on the battlefield. I'm proud of it. If we are challenged again, let me say, we'll do it again.
But you're not training us how to use...
We'll train you when the time comes. We'll also train. It's very quick. It's very quick. It's very quick.
We must take all the youth
It's
take
very
them to military training.
Let me tell you, I believe our youth must go to military training. It brings a lot of discipline. We should not even undermine military training. And many nations still do that. When they finish matric, they must go for military training. And they come back, you see the mentality has changed. They become more responsible citizens. An army disciplines you. It's like a karate dojo where you train, where every morning they teach you as you walk into a karate dojo. Etiquette, respect, character, right? They go on, you repeat etiquette, respect, character. The army is like that. It keeps you into a match of how to behave or how not to behave. So we need to have a youth that is very much disciplined in this country. We can't afford criminals. We can't afford nyaupes. No ways. Our kids have been poisoned in the streets at very young ages.
Hey, I love that angle. So that the military can definitely remedy that.
Yes, it does. I was slightly older when I went to the army, but it did something to me. It made me understand what it means to walk in step.
Wow. Wow. Doctor, Witness to Power. Who is this book written to? When you wrote this book, who did you have in mind?
Witness to Power covers our first 30 years of democracy.
Oh, lovely.
There are many people who were not born in 94. And those who were born in 94, both don't know our history. One child was saying to me, the guy who was released from Robben Island, was it true Mandela? And I'll tell you. I said, what do you mean? It was Mandela. He said, no, people say what you're cloned. I mean, can you believe that? I said, but he was Mandela, flesh, blood. You understand? Wow. So this book declones Mandela and others.
Okay.
Yeah, it tells who Mandela was. And it explains his role in the first part of the democracy. It tells about the subsequent president and what happened. But it gives context of the struggle. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it tells you about how power can be used beautifully and correctly, and how power can be misused, and how people can fail to use power when they should be using it. So the book is about...
Okay.
I woke up this morning, one guy said to me, one of my partners in another piece, says, this book has become international. I was talking to President Mahama of Ghana. He says, come and make this your chairman of your company. Where is this book? How can I show you? All the presidents inside I can put my book. Wow. Mnangagwa has got my book. President Poko has got my book. Chapa has got my book. Hichilema has got my book. Wow. Matematika and has got my book. The king has got my book. The book for the king of Sweden is on the way. They have asked for it in some cases. Other cases we offered them. Wow. The book has flown from our shelves.
Okay.
Because it is a message and a story about South Africa. But lo and behold, You know, if you know our story, you know, if you know Matthew Phosa, I have not told more than a quarter.
Wow.
I will still tell.
No, I'm excited because as the Man of Influence, for those of you watching at home, don't forget when you come on the 21st of March, this book will be available and it will be signed for you. So come ready to buy yours and take it home and go and read. This is the first piece, right? It's just the first drop in all the drops you're about to do. The second one, I know it's coming very soon. So this is the first one that the people will get to have a little bit of a taste, and then we wait for the second one that is coming. So how soon do you think
This is my fourth book.
Okay.
I published
2
poetry books. Dear Orphan and Out.
Okay.
In Africa. Mandela launched this book.
Oh, okay.
He took it over from me. He said, this message is bigger than me. Through the eye of the needle. He said, our nation went through the eye of the needle. I'm the president. I'm going to launch this book. He spoke to the publishers. They gave him the date. I attended to give a vote of thanks.
Wow.
This is 2 volumes together. It's prescribed at schools. I'm very proud that our children can study this book.
Wow.
Then this one, Chance of Freedom. Most of the poems here, I wrote them in exile. It was launched by President Mutlanti. Thank you very much, Comrade Mutlanti. He launched it at VET.
Interesting.
It's English poetry. So I wrote poetry both English and Afrikaans. And then I decided I'm going to write this history. Then I wrote this Witness to Power.
Yeah.
I wrote this Witness to Power. This is the first history book I wrote, but not the last.
Okay.
Because our history is very extensive and it still needs to be recorded. It's very important that we record our history, what and all. We must not lie about our history because you want to please somebody.
Yep.
Because then you're lying. You know, many comrades and many other people in this country have died with beautiful stories. It's sad, men and women. I think we should all write.
Wow.
Everyone has a story to tell.
Wow.
And we must tell our stories. Our stories can only be told by none but ourselves.
Thank you.
None
I like that.
but ourselves. This time when other people talk about us and tell stories about us is gone. Black man, black woman, wake up.
Wow. I'm happy you're still alive and finally I get to hear you and speak to you on the book that is here. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time, and I really appreciate it. We're going to see you at the Men of Influence. We cannot wait for you to tell the stories. I know when you are there, I want you to be excited. Tell us more because we're here to celebrate you as one of our founding fathers.
Also, thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes.
I really look forward to the 21st of March, and I hope it becomes a very impactful day.
Yes.
Not for us who wrote books, but also for the people who participate.
Yes.
We can share so much.
Definitely.
And if they have questions on that day,
okay.
Let me tell you, with Matthew Phosa, there are no holy cows.
Wow.
We'll answer any question.
Any question.
Yes.
I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best.
I'm so honored and humbled to be shaking your hands and take the hand of history.